Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. I won't take long, but I do love being on this committee. And I fear that what I'm seeing is kind of a slow-mo self-destruction of the committee in various respects.
Could you pull that mic down?
Like that?
Not down. I can't hear you.
The slow-mo self-destruction of the committee began, I would say, with the destruction of our circuit court blue slips. I know that created an immediate political advantage for the Republican side in order to be able to shove circuit court nominees into Democrat seats. But then the winds changed. And the next thing you know, Republicans are looking around for a blue slip and finding that, oh no, we killed it. The net result, as the politics balance out, is that we transferred our power on this committee, individual senators' power on this committee, to the executive branch. And we've never gotten it back. We just gave it away. We're having a reprise of that right now with respect to United States attorneys. This Department of Justice has figured out a device for circumventing this committee entirely. It's not a question of us not having a blue slip. They have figured out a way to put U.S. attorneys in place without the individual's name ever coming before this committee. The trick is you appoint somebody an interim, and then when the time gets ready to run out, you can the first assistant, and you put your interim into the first assistant position, and then you designate that individual as something called a special attorney, and that's it. According to the Department of Justice, that individual now has all the powers of the United States Attorney, and this committee has never even had a role in looking at that. Now, if you all are happy with that, if you want to have the new rule for U.S. attorneys be that you get to put them in without even touching base with this committee, without even having a conversation with the senator from the home state, if that's what you want this to be, keep it up. But when the time comes, when the winds shift, and suddenly it's your U.S. attorneys who are being selected by an administration without even consultation with you, without any committee process or review whatsoever, then don't come complaining to me.
You know, I was thinking the other day about the true nature of power in Washington. We often focus on the big headlines, but the real influence often lies in the unwritten rules, those centuries-old norms that keep the branches of government from stepping on each other's toes. But what happens when those norms aren't just bent, but systematically dismantled for short-term political gain? It's like watching a high-stakes chess match where one player starts burning the board just to win a single move. That brings us to a really sobering moment in the Senate Judiciary Committee involving Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. He didn't just come to the podium to debate a bill. He came to warn his colleagues about what he calls the slow-mo self-destruction of the committee. It was a raw, intelligent critique of how the Senate is essentially signing away its own constitutional authority to the executive branch and doing it in a way that will haunt both parties for decades. Whitehouse traced this erosion back to the death of the blue slip, the traditional practice that allowed home state senators to have a say in judicial nominees. He noted that while Republicans killed the blue slip for circuit courts to push their own judges through, they were shocked when the winds changed, and they found themselves powerless when Democrats took over. Before we get into the trick the Department of Justice is using to install U.S. attorneys without any Senate oversight at all, I want to invite you to be a permanent part of this channel. We're tracking these institutional shifts every single day. Please hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't done so already. You don't want to miss out on our daily news and reports that explain the why behind these power plays in D.C. Join us.
It was not met with much sympathy by me when I had to hear complaints about the circuit court blue slip disappearing when your side had killed the circuit court blue slip. If you kill Judiciary Committee process for U.S. attorneys, please don't think that that's just a one-way ticket. We will permanently disable this committee's ability to have a say in U.S. attorneys if we don't do something about what this Department of Justice is doing right now. And the last self-destruction that I see taking place in this committee is that we don't require witnesses to answer questions. Instead, we allow them to assert privileges that are preposterous, and we just let it pass. Well, it's fine when you have the gavel and it's a witness you want to be allowed to duck questions and assert fake privileges, but that wind shifts too. And the time will come when you will want your questions answered, and you will want to have the chair direct the witness to answer the question, unless there's a real privilege. As Chairman Grassley has said repeatedly, executive privilege is limited. It's limited to conversations directly with and around the president. It must be actually asserted by the president. And even then, if there's a good enough reason to overcome the privilege, it can be overcome. Instead, we allow witnesses just to say, oh, executive privilege, with none of those conditions having been met, and now they don't have to answer questions. Worse, executive privilege has been expanded to include FOIA exemptions and limitations on intra-party discovery in a lawsuit. And now those things are grafted into executive privilege. And again, as Chairman Grassley has noted, those aren't privileges that limit Congress's constitutional oversight power. They may limit what one litigant can get from another. They may limit what an individual with a FOIA request can get under the FOIA statute. But this is the United States Congress. This is the Senate Judiciary Committee. And if we're going to allow witnesses to make up fake privilege and then act as if that's okay, again, look out for when that turns. And we just saw this the other day with a truly preposterous assertion of privilege by a lawyer on his way to disbarment, just to add a little bit of extra flavor to it. But I would like to see this committee strong. I know a strong committee is sometimes awkward politically, but when we give up the circuit court blue slip, if we continue to give up any role in U.S. attorney nominations, and if we let witnesses come in and just make up privileges and not have to answer questions, that is slow-mo self-destruction of this committee, and we all pay a price. So thank you for letting me say that, Mr. Chairman. As I've mentioned, on a number of these issues, you've actually been quite strong, and I look forward to working with you to reestablish the prerogatives of United States senators on this committee.
Now, look at the specific device Whitehouse exposed regarding U.S. attorneys. He described a multi-step maneuver where the DOJ appoints someone as an interim, then fires the first assistant, puts the interim in that spot, and designates them a special attorney. According to the DOJ, that person now has all the power of a U.S. attorney without ever having their name come before the committee or a home state senator. Whitehouse's speech was pointed, and his body language was that of a seasoned veteran who has seen the pendulum swing too many times. He warned his colleagues, if that's what you want this to be, keep it up. But when the time comes, and it's your U.S. attorneys being selected, without any committee process, then don't come complaining to me. The final blow in his analysis concerned the committee's failure to compel witnesses to actually answer questions. He lamented how the committee allows witnesses to assert preposterous and fake privileges, including a bastardized version of executive privilege that hasn't even been formally asserted by the president. He reminded everyone that, according to Senator Chuck Grassley, executive privilege is supposed to be limited to direct conversations with the president, not a blanket shield for the entire bureaucracy. As a news analyst, what I see here is a committee that is trading its long-term constitutional oversight power for immediate political convenience. White House is sounding the alarm that if you allow witnesses to make up privileges and the DOJ to bypass nominations, you aren't just winning a political round, you are permanently disabling the United States Senate. We'll be right here to see if the committee heeds this warning or continues its slow-mo self-destruction. Make sure you've hit that subscribe button to stay with us as we follow the fallout.